Welcome to Rob Schmitt tonight. Last night we spent a solid chunk of this show detailing effectively undeniable evidence of first family corruption. Years and years of influence peddling, millions of dollars flowing from the Chinese Communist Party and their actors, a corrupt Romanian oligarch, a corrupt Ukrainian energy company, all to the Biden family. In Ukraine, the money was paid directly to Hunter Biden, a drug-addicted nimwit, being paid $80,000 a month because his daddy had influence over the government investigating Burisma for corruption. Biden would later threaten to withhold $1 billion in aid from Kiev and later bragged publicly about how he got the prosecutor looking into Burisma fired.
Oh, son of a got fired.
In 2014, the widow of Moscow's mayor, obviously connected to the Kremlin, wired Hunter Biden's Rosemont Seneca $3.5 million for consulting fees. In China, another of several money flows, millions was filtered through shell companies to at least 9 members of Joe Biden's family. You can see here in this nice little grid we've made for you how it works. A Chinese Communist Party energy company sends millions to to businesses CCP actors started with Hunter Biden. Then another mutual company gets the money until finally, at the very end down here, it arrives in the Biden business account. All of this nonsense, all of this to conceal the final destination. Then the money goes straight to the bank accounts of Biden's dysfunctional family members. So many family members, even grandkids getting some money. And the Chinese aren't dumb. They're getting something for those millions. It's the most obvious story imaginable. And the fact there are so many pass-through shell companies created to distort the transaction, to hide what's going on, makes this corruption even more obvious to anybody with a functioning brain, as Congressman Byron Donalds explained.
You have Rosemont Seneca Partners, Rosemont Seneca Advisors, Rosemont Seneca Technology Partners, RSP Holdings, RSTP2 Alpha, RSTP2 Bravo, Rosemont Seneca Thornton. Whenever there was like this many companies just laying all over the place, the only logical conclusion of a financial professional is you are concealing money.
Only logical conclusion of anybody with a brain. Now, it's been a long road of investigating to get to this point, and the mainstream media has resisted all the way, broadcasting their despicable bias and outright loyalty to the regime in power. With Biden corruption, Americans getting their first taste of what it's like living in Russia or China. Power above all of us with no accountability whatsoever. For the American press, at first it was outlandish to even think that any Biden could be corrupt, how they clutched their pearls. But after enough evidence came out, that changed to, okay, fine, Hunter's corrupt, but not Joe. How many tweets did you see saying, okay, fine, I'll never vote for Hunter Biden, from some arrogant nitwit on Twitter? But to believe that, you have to ignore Hunter Biden's own enraged text messages like this one, where he complains about giving his father half his income. Try to imagine a legitimate reason why a 50-year-old man would be forced to give half of his income to his dad. You probably can't think of one. The Biden family has pulled in at least $10 million from foreign countries over the past 10 years or so. At least $10 million. It's good money. Perhaps much more. Former Biden business partner Tony Bobulinski says he met with Joe Biden, the vice president, several times as he and Hunter set up multi-million-dollar deals in China. Bobulinski says Joe Biden was the chairman of Hunter's overseas dealings. Yeah, the same guy that says he had no idea what Hunter was up to. He was the chairman of the operation, according to Hunter's former business partner. In Romania, a corrupt oligarch paid $3 million to a Biden business associate, which then was filtered to the family. That oligarch hired Hunter to get the government off his back, investigating him for a corrupt land deal. At the same time, Vice President Joe Biden just invited Romania's president to the White House. That would be a good place to start to get some heat off. In this case, believe it or not, the mission actually failed. That corrupt oligarch did go to jail, but the family still got paid. And for those alleging this only implicates Hunter, explain why the money was distributed by Rob Walker to everyone in the family. Why did the money go to Rob Walker if it's just on the up and up, if it's all legit, and then go to everybody in the family? Well, I thought Hunter earned it for his exquisite connections and his power and his influence and his intelligence. No, Hunter didn't earn it. His dad did. Hunter is the bag man. He sets him up. Joe knocks him down. The investigation into Biden corruption continues, although it appears Americans get the gist of the story at this point. A new Rasmussen poll indicating 7 in 10 independents are convinced this is a major scandal. But not everybody is convinced. The militant left will never admit its leader is corrupt, no matter how much evidence they see. We know how loyal leftists are to their terrible leaders. And apparently, not everybody at Fox News is convinced either. Because here was Steve Doocy this morning with Congressman James Comer.
Said that the smoking gun were these financial records that you were able to subpoena and got your hands on. They show that some of the president's relatives were paid more than $10 million from foreign sources between 2015 and 2017. And your party, the Republican investigators, say that that's proof of influence peddling by Hunter and James. But that's just your suggestion. You don't actually have any facts to that point. You've got some circumstantial evidence. And the other thing is, of all those names, the one person who didn't profit is there's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegal.
We're going to speak to Congressman Comer here in just a minute. But Fox sounding a lot like MSNBC. Kind of bizarre, right? Or maybe the New York Times, which said House Republicans report finds no evidence of wrongdoing by President Biden. Imagine putting that out as a journalist. Or Politico, Comer releases Biden family probe update without showing link to president. It's amazing. Think of the way that they reported on Donald Trump, and then they put out headlines like that. They have no shame. What else can you say? For Steve Doocy and the partisan skeptics out there, this is about as much evidence as you're going to see in a white-collar, sophisticated corruption case. Although we clearly know that the Bidens are not the brightest bulbs in the box, and that's being nice. They're not 60 IQ thugs robbing a convenience store that's covered in HD security cameras. So this is about as bad as it gets for a crime involving sophisticated people and intelligent actors that are trying to conceal it. This is about as obvious as it gets. This case, as a matter of fact, is a slam dunk if it was anyone else in power besides Joe Biden or a powerful Democrat. Establishment Washington will continue to ignore this. The media that they own will continue to ignore this. And it doesn't matter how much that enrages you. It doesn't matter how much that takes away from the country that you live in, how much that destroys our Constitution. They don't care. That's power. That's impressive power. And Biden will still be supported because the fear of Trump is so great. And that's the real story. There's no crime Biden could commit that could possibly justify hurting his election chances with a dangerous Republican on the other side. And now you see why politicians love to have countries divided, because it gets very tribal. And it doesn't matter how awful they behave, they still have their team on their side. When the people are united, we throw out scum like this, not when we're divided. It appears this election will be a lot like 2020. Except this time, bizarrely, perhaps Fox News is joining the mainstream on this. We've seen what they've done to Donald Trump already. Now we see this. Rupert Murdoch and his brand would clearly rather see 4 more years of Joe Biden than 4 more years of Donald Trump.